Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Bahudeva manussāca mangalani acintayum akankamana suttanam bruhi mangala muttamanti. Venerable Chief Bhante at Ottawa Buddhist Vihara and friends in Dhamma, dear devotees of our Vihara, I am so happy to see so many of you have joined us today to listen to a very important Dhamma sermon. I believe this is a subject that is valuable to human beings of all ages and all backgrounds. The invitation for this Dhamma sermon was extended to me by our Dhamma school student Kaya's family to commemorate her birthday. I want to bless you, Kaya, and offer good wishes for your education and all that you do in your future. Today's topic is Mangala Karunu, or the highest supreme blessings. What are the highest supreme blessings in our lives? Let me share with you, my friends in Dhamma, what this means. The highest supreme blessings in life are great character traits, behaviors, or personal qualities that we should develop in our daily lives to live a more meaningful, spiritually balanced, and an ethical life. It brings you peace and serenity while living a successful life. Most importantly, for those who are able to incorporate this into their lifestyle, it will open the door to the path of Nibbana. Now you must wonder what these qualities are. What should I improve in myself? Regardless of our individual backgrounds, we all want to live in peace and prosperity as human beings. Therefore, we must ask ourselves, what will take me there? What are the suitable qualities to lead a happy life? What are the standards that I should aspire to achieve? How should I conduct myself so that I could live in harmony? These virtuous qualities that I am about to speak of are not just limited to Buddhists. Don't forget this at the beginning. These virtuous qualities that I am about to speak of are not limited to Buddhist people or Buddhist societies. These are universal and practical qualities that applies to all of humanity regardless of race, religion or nationality. For centuries, people have used superstitious science to guide them through life. They use various omens to indicate good luck and others to bring bad luck. Basically, people rely on outside factors to bring them happiness and fortunes in life. There is very little responsibility on a person to improve their personal qualities. Even today, there are people who still believe in these myths and omens. These, these beliefs are entrenched in popular culture and in belief systems around the world. For example, here in North America, people believe that unlucky things happen on Friday the 13th. Have you ever noticed that in North America, there is no 13th floor in buildings? Do you know why? It is because people believe that number 13 brings bad luck. Conversely, people believe that number 7 is a very lucky number and insist on buying lottery tickets with that number. Some cultures believe that certain plants bring them money or prosperity. The money plant is one that comes to mind. These are beliefs that people have adopted based on superstitions, based on old tales passed on from generation to generation through the word of mouth. There is no scientific rationale for this belief. As well, my friends from Switzerland believe that finding special leaves that have 6 petals instead of 4 or 5 petals brings great luck. Some cultures also believe that finding ladybugs brings them luck too. These are very much entrenched in their societal belief system or popular culture. While we respect all cultures and their norms, we must ask ourselves, is there any truth to this? Is there any truth to this? Today, I am going to talk about Buddha's view on this important subject. Should we rely on good fortunes to guide us through life, or should we practice good qualities in our personalities to improve our good fortunes? The Buddha had very decisive advice for us on this matter, which transcended age, religion, ethnic background, or nation borders. The advice is offered to us in one of the most important discourses called the Mangala Sutta. Although much of these teachings can be viewed as Buddhist doctrine or theology, the immense value in the advice provided through the Mangala Sutta is that it is actually a universal, practical framework of advice that would lead to a more meaningful, ethical, and wholesome existence. There was a reason for the Buddha to share this advice with the world. Prior to this discourse, there has been vigorous debate in India that lasted approximately 12 years about factors that would lead to a successful life. Although there was heated debate about this subject amongst various religions in India, they could not come to a consensus on the answer to these important questions. Some people thought that being able to wake up to a pleasant view would bring good luck all day long. For instance, the first person they saw in the morning would set the mood for the rest of the day. Some other thought, smelling pleasant scents, the very first thing in the morning would bring good luck. Even taste, sound would bring good luck. Even taste, sound would bring good luck. Basically, when you narrow this down, they thought that any pleasantries that can be observed through the five senses would bring them luck and good fortunes in life. This debate finally reached the Brahmans and the deities. Once it reached the realm of the deities, they also discussed the matter and could not come to any consensus. Their supreme leader, God Indra, decided that they should consult the wisest person they knew for a precise and definitive answer. He decided to approach the Buddha on behalf of all human beings, non-human beings, and spiritual beings. One evening, while the Buddha was residing at Jetavana monastery, the god Indra visited him. It is mentioned in the Dhamma books that when he arrived, the entire Jetavana area got illuminated by the radiance that emanated. The first stanza of the Mangala Sutta is a description about the respectful way in which God Indra approached the Buddha with his question. Bahu deva manussacha mangalani achinta akankamana sutthanam bruhi mangala muttama. He recited this with his request. There is much to be learned from the way he conducted himself. Even though he was one of the most powerful gods, he was very humble. He entered the temple graciously. He waited for his turn and gently approached the Buddha and offered respectful salutations given to someone who was universally admired as the Buddha. Being a Buddha meant that he was now the most supreme being. It is noteworthy to mention that there are 12 stanzas in the Mangala Sutta. The first one is the introduction. The last stanza, number 12, is the conclusion. Our discussion today will mainly focus on stanza 2. Focus on stanza 2, which lays the foundation to the rest of the discourses. I would like to recite that first. Asevanacha balanam panditanam cha sevana pujacha pujaniyanam itang mangala muttamam. In this second stanza, so let's analyze how the Buddha answered this question. To remind you again, the question from the deity was, what brings fortune to our lives? What brings fortune to our lives? Don't forget this question. What makes us truly and eternally happy? The Buddha's answer was both intelligent and practical. He indicated that in order to generate good fortune and to live a happy life, you must first change your behavior. You must cultivate and practice righteous actions based on virtuous intentions. Then we must ask ourselves, what are the most virtuous qualities? What are the noblest actions that we must practice? In this second stanza, he explains the significance of the people you associate with in order to live a successful and happy life. In relation to this, he offers 3 pieces of advice. The first supreme blessing according to the Buddha is Asivanacha Bala. This statement, translated into English, this means to avoid association with unwise people or fools. It is important to mention that there are 2 meanings to this statement. The first one is the obvious, which is to avoid people who are unwise or those with poor judgment. I think most of us can understand that if we associate with such individuals, our lives will naturally follow similar negative paths. For example, if you associate with people who steal, perhaps you too will accept this to be normal behavior and follow the same path. Similarly, if you spend time with individuals who are alcoholic or those who are gamblers, then you will most likely continue in similar paths. Or not? Sure. Eventually, you will realize that there will be very negative consequences for these actions. I think most of you who regularly listen to a Dhamma sermons, Dhamma talk, and try to lead righteous lives, realize that this is not a healthy or a wholesome way to live. The second meaning of this stanza, which I have found is more subtle and hidden inside the more general statement we discuss about. But I believe it is the most important one. To fully understand this is the most important one, to fully understand this. To fully understand this, let's ask the question again. How do you know whether a person is good or bad when you first meet them? In order to make this determination, do you realize that you must first have a sense of what is right or what is wrong entrenched in your own belief system? Without that, how could you possibly make a judgment call on others? Therefore, the first step is to recognize the good and bad qualities within yourself. If you cannot first recognize what these qualities are, then how are you able to recognize what is good and bad in others? What standards will you use to decide? This opens up a very important window of opportunity for us. To the wise, It allows you to self-reflect, to recognize negative thoughts and actions within yourself. When you analyze your own mind and see these qualities inside you, then you have the opportunity to remove them. You have to come to the realization that if you don't remove them, then in the future it will only bring you negative results. It will hinder your true happiness. It will hinder your true happiness. So let's ask the questions. What are we supposed to look for? What are the negative qualities that we should all look out for? The three root causes of all negative thoughts and actions are: first, raga, which means either passion, lust. These are our desire or our tendency to seek pleasure regardless of consequences. Number second is dvesha, anger, hatred. Arises when we can't have what we seek. Third root is moha, or ignorance, or delusion. It's a state of mind where one believes that what we observe from our five senses is reality and that it is permanent. Oftentimes, we see the flaws or faults in other people. We don't see our own mistakes, our own personal shortcomings. Why is that? I believe there is a reason for that. It is because according to the natural processing of our mind, we make decisions based on what we see, hear, touch, smell, and taste through our six senses. We don't spend much time studying or observing our inner selves or our mind. We only observe what is on the outside of ourselves, the sensual world, through our six senses. Think about that again and again. We don't take time to think outside of these observations. We don't look into our mind. We are not in touch with our inner self. We don't analyze our previous memories and lessons learned from our own experiences. We don't incorporate them into our future plans, planning, thinking, contemplate or mulling over. That is why the Buddha asks you to focus your mind first and recognize what is there. What are you thinking? When you analyze your own mind and see these qualities inside yourself first, it gives you perspective. Ask yourself, do I have raga or passion or lust? Most of us do. How much of this is inside of you? How much of these negative behaviors are affecting your daily life? What negative effect has this had on my own life and the lives of those who I interact with. Finally, how do I control this? Similarly, ask yourself, do I have dvesha or anger? How often does this affect my behavior? Have I hurt others because of my anger and hatred? Whom have I hurt in this process? How can I adjust my behavior? How can I adjust my behavior? The final realization is that moha or ignorance inside of me fuels my raga, lust and passion, and dvesha, anger and hatred. If I am able to realize the impermanence of my existence, then I will not allow raga or dvesha, passion or anger to control me. It is important to remember that as long as you are allowing these negative thoughts to rule your behavior and the way you make decisions and conduct yourself, you will not know what true happiness is. You will have a life full of conflicts. The permanence you seek in pleasure is non-existent. It is not real. It is not real. Being able to identify, recognize, assess and accept that you do have negative qualities within yourself and in others is one of the first and one of the most important supreme blessings in our lives. The second supreme blessing is described in Pali as Panditanancha Sevana. The Buddha explained that one must only associate with wise people. So, who are the wise people that he referring to? Similarly to the first response, the answer is twofold. First, the obvious answer, only associate with wise individuals, people with good judgment. Look around you and recognize people who genuinely care about your well-being, who has consistently given you good advice and try to guide you in the right path. Your parents, your grandparents, teachers, wife or husband, husband or wife, and friends who are truly kind and want to see you succeed. Think of examples in your own life when these wise people have helped you avoid harmful situations. They share their wisdom. Sometimes we can't see that we are about to get into a situation that may have negative effects on us. But the wise can see it. Simply put, they will always want what is in your best interest. They will advise us and guide us. They will never misguide us. If you could think of any example of true leaders, they think beyond their own ego. They think and act in the best interest of their subjects. A country with such leader will flourish. The same way, a parent who nurtures and guide their children in the right path will yield success from their effort by raising children who are both responsible and respected. Associating with the right people from a very young age set the foundation for the rest of your life, rest of their life. The second, more subtle answer is that we need to develop our own understanding of what are the characteristics of a wise person. Keeping in mind, one of the primary goals in Buddhism is to develop our wisdom. Through a keenly developed mind, we would be able to choose good from the bad. The process should start from an early age in order to have the maximum benefit through our lifetimes. So, what should we recognize in ourselves? What are the characteristics of a wise person? First one is alobha, the practice of generosity. Number two is adosa, or kindness and compassion. Third one is amoha, or wisdom, having the correct understanding of reality. They have a good sense of right and wrong. First of all, you must identify, assess, accept the good qualities you possess. Once you have developed an understanding in your own mind, then you can slowly and gradually cultivate these to enrich your own life. This is the second most supreme blessing that one can cultivate in ourselves. For each negative quality, there is an opposite quality of equal value. It is the one mind that can possess both of these qualities at the same time. Through wisdom, we choose to make the right choices in life that leads us to happiness. The third supreme blessing according to the Buddha is puja cha pujaniyana. The third advice means expressing respect or worshipping those who deserve respect. For example, certain religious leaders or people who are universally respected by all to have high moral and ethical standards. This was mentioned right at the beginning because it is the foundational aspect in the elimination of pride or conceit or mane. With the use of the first two factors we discussed earlier, we are now able to understand how to distinguish between the wise and non-wise people. According to the Buddha's words, when you learn to respect others, any conceit or mane within yourself disintegrate. You became a humble person. If we think back to the introduction part of this sutta, remember how the most supreme deity approached the Buddha to inquire about the blessing. He didn't approach him with arrogance or self-importance because he was the most important God. He recognized that the Buddha was a respectable person and he paid the respect he deserved and approached him in a polite and gentle way to ask his questions. When we speak to respect worthy people, we need to choose the right words, body language, and how we conduct ourselves shows more about our own character than the one that we are respecting. Remember, when you fully absorb these qualities, you don't have to act. It becomes an innate part of you. You don't need to perform. Now think of examples of respectable person in your life. Do you respect them because they are wealthy? They have fancy houses, cars, good jobs? Or do you respect them for their moral values, their principles, and the fair decisions they make? As mentioned in the first 2 points, how you perceive them has a lot to do with your own values and your principles in life. That is why it is important to recognize them through self-reflection. Modern day, people tend to associate success with having great wealth and power. But I think that every person, regardless of their positions in society, deserve respect. Take, for example, a garbage collection person. Some people might think that it is a job that is not respectful enough. Do you think also? Some people might think that it is a job that is not respectful enough. Now think, what would happen if there were no people willing to do that job? What if there was a strike? What will you do then? The same way, a doctor needs patience to earn his livelihood. The same way, teachers need students to earn their livelihood. Each one of us has important roles to play. We must not judge people based on their careers or wealth. We must look at the innate goodness they possess through their character. When you are able to see the humanity in people, then any sense of arrogance and entitlement you feel will dissipate. You feel will dissipates. Now I would like to summarize what we discussed earlier. If you remember, the second stanza contains 3 supreme blessings. First, abstain from associating with fools. Second, associate with the wise. Third is respect those who deserve respect. Collectively, all these actions lays the foundation to a blessed and successful life without living a successful life in the present moment. Under the present circumstances, it is pointless to contemplate Nibbana. It compels us to look inside ourselves honestly. The fundamental first step towards the path of Nibbana is honesty. Honesty towards yourself and honesty towards others. If you don't have this quality, then all your efforts are like throwing pieces of wood into a river. Throwing pieces of wood into a river. ගඟට ඉනි කැපුවා වගේ. It flows downstream without any purpose or yielding any results. If what you seek is to build a bridge to the other side of the river, you must find a way to place them in a strategic way. With honesty as the foundation, the Buddha advises us to look inwards, self-reflection. Without honest introspection, the path to Nibbana is not possible. Through the self-examination of your mind and its thought process, you will realize what qualities you have and what qualities you need to incorporate into your life to achieve permanent happiness. This is called Sammaditthi in Buddhism. The first step towards being a stream winner, simply put, this is called having the right view and having the right thought process. This forms wisdom. If we analyze this in terms of our own lifespans, we could allegorically say that these steps are things we need to master at the first stage of our lives. I have said a couple of times now, this is the foundation. These are not things that others can give you. It is a journey that you must undertake with determination and discipline. There is no one to compete with except with your own mind. Having said that, we will conclude the examination of the first part of the Mangala Sutta here. In the next sermon, we will investigate the other stanza in depth. I want to again take this time to bless Kaya on the occasion of her birthday. We will wish you a very happy birthday and bless you for a very healthy, happy and successful life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Akasattha ca bhummattha divanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu loka sasanang. Akasattha ca bhummattha divanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu desanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha divanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu tang sadati.